We are now going to take, let's see. Our discussion is, yeah, it's right here. Okay. Take a roll call vote. And I ask that each member indicate their agreement with the following. To the best of our knowledge during the closed meeting, the only matters heard, discussed, or considered were those matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and only those public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed session or closed meeting was convened were discussed, with exception. We did discuss some rail safety issues at the beginning of our closed meeting, in addition to then discussing our real estate issues, which was in the motion to go into closed session. So if there's a second to that motion.
Second it.
Thank you. So that's the action on the floor right now, whether roll call is whether you agree with this statement.
Ms. Bulova?
I agree.
Ms. Bushu? Aye. Mr. Cardwell?
Agree.
Ms. Dorsch?
Aye.
Ms. Drake? Agree. Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Ms. Moses Ned? Agree. Mr. Payne?
Agree.
Ms. Reinhardt?
Agree.
Mr. Spore?
Agree.
Mr. Watkins?
All right, thank you, everyone. We have item of business very quickly with Mr. Pittard about a budget amendment.
Good afternoon. You heard earlier, you approved earlier, like, transaction involving the Norfolk Southern Railway. And as a result of that, we need to go back and amend our budget that was approved for fiscal year 25 to adjust a lot of the different line items that are included with our budget, because that is a level that the budget is, y'all's budget is held to. So with that, I'm going to take you through, and this is a little bit of education for some of the newer members. We are constantly doing financial planning here at the VPRA. What that does is we take all our sources of funding, the uses of funding through the final capital project we currently have on sheet. That's 2031 right now. So we take operational costs through that time frame, all of those capital project costs, and we have some capital grants. We take all of that, take our uses, take those uses, and take sources and compare them to make sure we always have the funding to be able to do what y'all are authorizing us to do. So if you go back to June, when I presented the budget to y'all to approve, that's what you see up here is May of 25, where our financial plan was, and you see sources 7.65 billion, uses 7.5 billion, and we had management reserve of 150 million. Today, 3 months later, we're at 7.74 billion of sources, 7.61 billion of uses, and management reserve 128 million. And before we move past this slide, I want to make note that we talked about VPRA has made a commitment to Passenger Rail Authority for the Norfolk Southern transaction. That is not included until we sign the agreement. It is not included. That 155 million is not in this bottom row. And I should have said this. If y'all have any questions, feel free to jump in at any time. So moving through the changes in the sources from when we were here back in June. So we had $88 million more sources. So in the Norfolk Southern transaction, we're getting a credit of $55 million for the V line, going back to Norfolk Southern. We talked a little bit earlier today about our interest earnings for the year. That was actually $15 million greater than what we had anticipated. We are going to, I'll talk about this a little bit more, but we're going to be doing some utility works for some the localities in our corridor because we can move that along quicker. And they're going to pay for the cost of it. So that's that 17 million. Also related to the Norfolk Southern transactions, the $6 million where we're going to be getting fees from VPRA for access payments on that Manassas line. And then finally, the Commonwealth Rail Fund estimates, there was a slight adjustment during the springtime over that window through 2031 of about $5 million down, which nets on the sources side to $88 million positive. On the uses side, so I'm going to break this up into two sections. First, the I-95 corridor. I just was talking about the utilities for the localities. So we're going to take on that work because they don't have the resources. So to keep our projects moving along, we're going to take on that work. They're going to pay us. It's Fairfax and Stafford counties who we're working with today. They agreed to pay the cost of that. So that's the $17 million you see as a new budget item. Also looking to add $1 million to our Richmond layover design work to get that to a point where we can come back to you with a definitive cost of that project before we move forward. But we do need some more funding to continue to progress that design to come back before we actually move the project forward and ask for your approval to do so. That being said, the remainder of the projects, the remainder of these line items are fallout, or it's the actual pushing through the budget line items, all the items related to the Norfolk Southern transaction that we talked about earlier. So there's capital project items, and then, like, I'll say this, other capital projects. That's the Manassas line purchase. So it's not in the Western Rail corridor. It's not in the I-95 corridor. So therefore it goes in the section of our budget for other capital. It also involves some of our capital and operating grants, because that's where we're making grants to VPRA for Manassas access payments, which now we own Manassas line. And so that caused a shift in the location of these items. So rather than going through all that in excruciating detail, I think the key is it's about $100 million, a little over $100 million of increase that you see on those bottom four lines. That increase in uses is offset by the $55 million you saw on the sources. Plus, it would be offset by the $155 million we're getting from VPRA to get you back to that approximate $100 million positive related to that Norfolk Southern transaction. Before I move on, because I'm going to move through the rest of the slides fairly quick. Did everyone follow that? We feel good? So moving along this slide, we did take the opportunity. If you remember in the executive director report, we showed the budget to actual and our capital spend. You know, we had a budget of X and our capital spend was significantly lower than that because the projects, you know, are a little bit behind schedule. So we did take this opportunity to adjust the spend plan, not the budgets of the projects. The only adjustments to the budget is what I just went through. But we are changing the timing of spend to better align to our current schedules. So you'll see there are changes by year. That's what the top part of this slide shows you. At the end, it's just that $18 million for the I-95 corridor that you saw here. So just the time. And with that being said, I'm going to go through these next slides very quick, being cognizant of time. And what I've done is I've highlighted, these are the line items that are in our actual budget document. And I've highlighted each of them that relate to the Norfolk Southern transaction to just show you there's numerous different line items. I took you through the net impact of all of these changes. And if you have any questions, please feel free to stop me and I can get a greater idea. And as I said earlier, there's several different Western Rail corridor and other capital projects. There's the capital grants, that VPRA track lease payment I was speaking of. There's the passenger capacity grant that we would be to Norfolk Southern down in the Christiansburg, the River Valley area. And then finally, in our operations piece of our budget, there's some changes. So these are our costs of maintenance that we're now taking on Manassas line. And one more item that On the operations side of our budget, we do show a one-year budget for operations. There was one small change as a result of the Norfolk Southern proposed transaction. It did add $100,000 worth of maintenance expense to the FY25 budget today compared to where we were back in June. And finally, the last slide is, as you recall, we do have this management reserve, which is prudent business practice because we're such a large capital program. We have operational costs. And we talked about ridership variation earlier. So just good business to have some reserve. And we have a policy. It's the board's reserve. And so every quarter, we're doing our financial planning and we track where that reserve stands. And as showed you on the first slide, showing it again here, we moved from 150 million when we met in June to now we're meeting in August. This is technically as of June 30th. That our management reserve would be $128 million. And as part of that policy that y'all adopted, it is a requirement to have y'all approve the management reserve each quarter. So with that, I'm glad to answer questions this time.
If there are no questions, I believe we do have some action. What is the budget amendment?
There's two action items, Chair. First, it's to approve the amendment to our FY25 budget. There should have been a document about 9 pages where we didn't give you the full 88 pages again. We did the 9 pages that changed, gave a summary. So it's to approve that amendment is one resolution. The second would be to approve the management reserve.
All right, so there's entertain a motion to approve the fiscal year 25 budget amendment.
Moved.
Zach, I move to approve this budget amendment.
Second.
You can.
Okay, we'll take 2 first.
All right. So, all on that.
Ms. Bulova,
Aye.
Ms. Bushu. Aye. Mr. Cardwell,
Aye.
Ms. Dorsch,
Aye.
Ms. Drake.
Aye.
Mr. Jordan.
Aye.
Moses Ned,
Abstain.
Mr. Payne,
Aye.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Aye.
Mr. Spore,
Aye.
Mr. Watkins.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. For no other questions, we'd also entertain a motion to approve the management reserve balance. Current.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion.
Second.
Second.
Ms. Bulova,
Aye.
Ms. Bushu. Aye. Mr. Cardwell,
Aye.
Ms. Dorsch,
Aye.
Ms. Drake,
Aye.
Mr. Jordan.
Aye.
Ms. Moses Ned,
Abstain.
Mr. Payne,
Aye.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Aye.
Mr. Spore,
Aye.
Mr. Watkins.
Aye.
All right, thank you. That motion also carried. Thank you, Steve. So we have additional closed session coming. I guess for the benefit of the of any public or other people not going to be involved in a closed session, we may take a vote after we come out, just so you know. I mean, so if we come out and you want to see that action or anything, so I was going to mention that. But otherwise, we will. Ms. Bulova, are you prepared? I think we're going to do 2 separate topics, but we're going to make put in the same motion those topics. Correct? Okay.
2 different.
All right. So.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board convene in a closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711 A and 8 for consultation with VPRA counsel regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice. And then secondly, I move that the board convene in a closed session, the same closed session, pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.23711A1 for the discussion and consideration of the terms of employment, performance, salary, and other compensation of specific officers of the VPRA. So moved.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Second.
Motion and seconds.
Ms. Bulliva,
Aye.
Ms. Bushu, Mr. Cardwell,
Aye.
Ms. Dorsch,
Aye.
Ms. Drake,
Aye.
Mr. Jordan.
Aye.
Ms. Moses Ned,
Aye.
Mr. Payne, Ms. Reinhardt,
Aye.
Mr. Spore,
Aye.
Mr. Watkins.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everyone, and we'll, as the board, enter